I never thought my marriage would end like this. If you had told me 5 years ago that I'd be standing at my front door pushing divorce papers through the mail slot, I would have laughed in your face. But here I was, my heart pounding in my chest, adrenaline making my hands shake as I heard my wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife, rattling the doorknob from the other side. But before I get ahead of myself, let me tell you how I got here. My name's Jason. I'm 36, a software engineer, and for the past 8 years, I thought I had a solid marriage with a woman I adored. Her name is Emily. She's 34, smart, funny, and the kind of woman who could walk into a room and instantly become the center of attention. I was never the jealous type. At least, I didn't think I was. I trusted her. Until the night she shattered that trust with 7 little words. I'm going on a date tonight, Jason. It was a Tuesday. A completely normal, uneventful Tuesday. I'd just gotten home from work, exhausted, thinking about dinner and maybe catching up on a few shows. Emily was in our bedroom getting ready. I didn't think much of it at first. She always liked dressing up, even if we were just staying in. But then I noticed something. She wasn't just getting ready, she was getting ready. A red dress I'd never seen before, heels that made her legs look like they belonged on a runway, perfume I didn't recognize. She curled her hair, did her makeup with a precision she usually reserved for weddings or fancy events. I stood in the doorway, watching her put on earrings, and something inside me just twisted. Going somewhere? I asked. She glanced at me in the mirror, smiling like I'd just asked her if it was going to rain tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going on a date tonight. The words didn't compute at first. My brain must have short-circuited because all I could do was stare. Excuse me? She turned around, hands on her hips. A date, Jason. You know, dinner, drinks, a little flirting. Don't give me that look. It's just for fun. You're my number one, so just accept whatever I'm doing. I felt the air get sucked out of the room. You're joking. Nope. She grabbed her purse. Look, I love you. You're my husband. But I need some excitement, and I don't see why that has to be a bad thing. I'll be back later, and then we can have our own fun. And just like that, she walked past me, heels clicking against the hardwood floor. I stood there for a long time, staring at the empty doorway, my mind a complete blank. It wasn't just the words. It was the way she said them. Casual, like she was announcing she was going to the grocery store. Like I should just nod and wave as she walked out the door to go cheat on me. Like I was supposed to be okay with this. I wasn't okay with it. I don't even remember sitting down, but at some point I found myself on the couch, my hands clasped together, trying to control the pure rage bubbling up inside me. And then something in me snapped. If she thought I was just going to sit here, waiting like some idiot while she went off to God knows where with some guy, she had another thing coming. She wanted excitement? Fine, I'd give her some. I grabbed my phone, opened my banking app, and transferred every single dollar out of our joint account into my personal one. Then I called a locksmith. How fast can you change the locks on a house? Tonight? About an hour, give or take. Do it. And then I packed. I went through the closet, the bathroom, the drawers, grabbing every last thing of hers I could find and stuffing it into garbage bags. Jewelry, makeup, clothes, shoes. Everything went into the trunk of my car. By the time I finished, the locksmith was wrapping up. I paid him, locked the door behind him, and drove to Emily's mom's house. She answered the door in her bathrobe, confused as hell when I started hauling garbage bags onto her porch. Jason? What the hell is this? Emily's stuff, I said flatly. Why dash? Ask her when she gets home. And then I left. Back at the house, I printed out the divorce papers my lawyer had sent me months ago, the ones I never thought I'd actually need. I signed my part, sealed them in an envelope, and waited. The night stretched on, silent except for the ticking of the clock. My stomach was in knots. My heart felt like it was being crushed in a vice. I kept imagining her laughing with some guy, touching his arm, whispering in his ear. At 2:13 a.m., I heard the sound of a car pulling into the driveway. I stood up, my pulse hammering. The front doorknob rattled, then again. Then, Jason? Her voice was muffled through the door. Why won't the door open? I walked up to the door, held the envelope against the slot, and shoved it through. You're not living here anymore, I said. Silence. Then, what the fuck, Jason? Open the door. I leaned against the wall, listening to her pound on the door, scream my name, demand I let her in. But I didn't. I just stood there, feeling empty. She wanted excitement? Well, she got it. I wasn't always this cold. I wasn't always the kind of man who could lock his wife out of the house in the middle of the night, ignore her screaming, and feel nothing. Once I was the kind of man who would have done anything for Emily. We met in college. I was 21, finishing my degree in computer science. She was 19, studying marketing, all bright smiles and easy laughter. I was quiet, more of an introvert, the type of guy who spent nights fixing bugs in code instead of partying. Emily, though, she lived for people. She could make a stranger feel like her best friend in 5 minutes. I fell for her hard. She was the first girl who made me feel like I was somebody. She'd grab my hand in public, show me off at parties, tell her friends how brilliant I was. She made me feel like I mattered. We got married 5 years later. By then, I had a stable job at a tech company, and Emily was climbing the corporate ladder in marketing. We bought a modest house, nothing fancy, but it was ours. We built a life together, and when she told me she was pregnant, I thought it was the happiest day of my life. We had 2 kids, Noah and Lily. Noah is 6 now, Lily is 3. They're my entire world. I work long hours to make sure they have everything they need, good schools, a safe home, a future. Emily, on the other hand, somewhere along the way she got bored. She started complaining that I was always working, that I wasn't exciting enough. I thought she was just stressed, so I tried to make things better. Date nights, surprises. I even cut back on overtime even though it meant tighter finances. But none of it was enough. I should have seen the signs earlier. The night she stayed out late with her friends but refused to tell me who they were. The way she kept her phone glued to her hand, flipping the screen down whenever I walked by. The sudden gym obsession, new lingerie, a level of effort she never made for me. And then, finally, the moment she stood in our bedroom and told me she was going on a date, I thought that was the ultimate betrayal. I was wrong. The morning after. At 6 a.m., I woke up to the sound of my phone vibrating. It was my neighbor, Steve. Jason, man, Emily's still out here. I groaned, rubbing my eyes. What? She slept on your damn porch, bro. I dragged myself out of bed, still exhausted from last night's storm of emotions. Peeking through the blinds, I saw her curled up on the porch swing, shivering, mascara streaked down her face. She looked pathetic. For one brief second, something inside me almost felt bad for her. Then I remembered. She did this to herself. I opened the door and she shot up, eyes blazing. Jason, what the fucks is wrong with you? You locked me out. You said you were going on a date. I crossed my arms. I assumed that meant you had a place to stay. Her jaw clenched. Oh, so what? You think you're punishing me? You're acting like a fucking psycho. I laughed, a cold, bitter laugh. Psycho? You told your husband you were going on a date. What exactly did you expect? She threw her hands in the air. I expected you to be an adult. I expected you to understand that marriages evolve. I need excitement, Jason, but you're too damn insecure to handle it. My vision blurred with rage. So let me get this straight. You want to go out, screw other guys, then come home to me, the guy paying the bills, raising the kids, keeping everything together. I told you you're my number one, she shrieked. Jesus Christ, Emily. Do you even hear yourself? She folded her arms, glaring at me. You can't just throw me out, Jason. This is my house, too. I pulled out my phone and tapped the screen. It's funny you say that because I spoke to my lawyer this morning. Turns out since I paid for the house entirely under my name, you don't actually own Her face went pale. That's not... Oh, and by the way, I smirked. Your stuff? It's at your mom's. Her entire body tensed. You took my stuff to my mother's. Yep. She let out a shaky laugh, pacing in circles like a caged animal. Fine, fucking fine. But guess what, Jason? She turned, her face twisted in fury. You don't get to keep my kids from me. Something deep inside me snapped. You mean our kids? Noah and Lily are staying with me, she spat. You work all the time. You can't do this alone. That was it. That was the moment I realized just how deep her selfishness ran. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't even ashamed. She thought she could waltz back in here, still in her red dress from last night, and take my kids. I took a step forward, voice deadly calm. Oh, you want to fight for custody? Be my guest. But let me ask you something, Emily. What do you think a judge will say when I show them the texts I pulled from your phone last night? Her face dropped. I leaned in. That's right. I cloned your phone before you left. I've got everything. Every dirty text, every date, every hotel room you've snuck off to while I was home taking care of the kids. She opened her mouth, closed it. So go ahead, I whispered. Try to take them from me. Try to explain to a judge why a loving mother spends her nights screwing random guys instead of tucking her kids into bed. She stared at me, speechless, and for the first time in this entire nightmare, I saw it. Fear. She wasn't in control anymore. I was. Get off my porch, I said coldly. She hesitated for a split second, then turned on her heel and stormed off down the driveway. I didn't watch her leave. I had more important things to do, like making sure she never hurt me or my kids ever again. I sat in the living room long after Emily stormed off, staring at the divorce papers on the coffee table. My hands were steady now, my pulse calm. I had won. At least that's what I thought. I should have known better. Emily wasn't done with me yet. Emily's side of the story. 2 days later, I got an email from her. Subject, let's talk. I almost ignored it. But curiosity got the best of me. I opened it. Jason, you want to know why I did it? Why I went on that date? Why I needed something else? Fine, I'll tell you. It wasn't just about sex. It wasn't about love either. It was about power. For years, you controlled everything without even realizing it. You decided how we lived. You worked late, made the money, and I was supposed to just accept it. You were always the stable one, the responsible one. And I felt like a goddamn prisoner in this perfect little life you built. Meanwhile, I watched my friends, women who actually had excitement in their lives, going on adventures, feeling wanted, feeling alive. I wanted that too. And yeah, I cheated. So what? It was never about them. It was about me. But you? You played your little revenge game. You locked me out like I was some stray dog. You humiliated me. You took my things to my mother's house. So congratulations, Jason. You won. For now. But don't think for 1 second that this is over. Enjoy your little victory while you can, because I'm about to show you what losing really feels like. Emily. I clenched my jaw, gripping the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't broken. She was planning something. The counterattack. I didn't have to wait long to find out what. That night I got home from work and noticed something strange. Noah and Lily's beds were empty. Panic shot through me like a bullet. I tore through the house, checking every room, their clothes, their backpacks. Gone. My hand shook as I grabbed my phone and dialed Emily. She picked up on the first ring. Looking for the kids? Her voice was smug, dripping with satisfaction. Where the hell are they? I growled. Relax, Jason, they're safe. They're with me. My blood ran cold. You took them? Oh, I didn't take them, Jason. I picked them up. My name is still on their school records, remember? It was so easy. I clenched my teeth so hard I thought they'd crack. You have no legal right. Actually, I do. We're still married. And since we don't have a custody agreement yet, there's nothing stopping me from keeping them for a while. I gripped the phone, my vision going red. You think this is a game? No, Jason. You thought this was a game when you threw me out like trash. Now we play by my rules. And then she hung up. The nuclear option. I didn't sleep that night. I barely breathed. My lawyer told me I'd have to wait for a court date, could take weeks before anything was decided. Weeks? That wasn't an option. Emily thought she was untouchable. She thought she could outplay me. She had no idea what was coming. I spent the next 24 hours executing my plan. First, I pulled out the ace I had up my sleeve, her phone records. Remember how I cloned her phone? I still had access. And it was worse than I imagined. 5 different guys, explicit messages, hotel receipts. But the kicker? She had been using our joint credit card to pay for her little escapades. I printed everything. Then I made a few calls. Call number 1, my lawyer. I sent him all the evidence and told him to push for an emergency custody hearing. If she thought taking the kids would win her the battle, she was about to lose the war. Call number 2, Emily's boss. Did I mention she worked for a big conservative marketing firm? I sent them the very detailed proof of her business expenses. Within 2 hours, she was fired. Call number 3, her mother, the woman who had been lecturing me about how I should be more understanding. I sent her the hotel receipts and screenshots of Emily's texts. She was horrified. By the time I was done, Emily's entire world was collapsing. The confrontation. I was sitting on my porch the next evening when her car screeched to a stop in my driveway. She stormed out looking wrecked. Her hair was a mess, her makeup smeared, her eyes wild with rage. "What the fuck did you do, Jason?" I took a sip of my coffee. "Problem, Em? You got me fired, my mother isn't even speaking to me, and now my lawyer is telling me you're going for full custody?" I leaned back in my chair, watching her unravel. "Oh, so now you care about the consequences of your actions?" She marched up to me, eyes burning. "I swear to God, Jason, if you think you can take my kids away from me—" "Our kids," I corrected, "and I don't have to take them, Emily. Because you already lost them." She faltered, her breath hitching. What do you mean?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the email from my lawyer. Effective immediately, temporary sole custody granted to Jason Parker, full hearing scheduled in 2 weeks. She snatched the phone from my hands, scanning the screen in horror. "Number, no, 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 this isn't fair. You can't do this to me." I stood up, towering over her. "You did this to yourself," I said coldly. She stumbled back, shaking her head. "You ruined me," she whispered. I shrugged. "You were already ruined, Emily. I just let everyone see it." She broke then. Her legs gave out and she dropped to the ground, sobbing into her hands. I didn't feel sorry for her. I didn't feel anything. I turned and walked inside, locking the door behind me. Because for the first time in a long, long time, I had peace. For the first time in weeks, I woke up feeling calm, no pit in my stomach, no uncertainty about what Emily was planning next. She had played her hand and I had crushed it. Noah and Lily were back home, safe, sleeping in their own beds. That was all that mattered. Emily, on the other hand, she was spiraling. The fallout. Her life had fallen apart at record speed. She lost her job. Turns out marketing firms don't appreciate their employees using corporate accounts to fund their side affairs. Her mother disowned her. The same woman who had scolded me for not appreciating Emily's needs now refused to let her step foot in the house. She had no place to go. She was living in a motel, burning through what little savings she had left. And worst of all, she couldn't see the kids, not without a court-monitored visit. I thought that would be enough. I thought she'd finally accept the consequences of her actions, take the L, and disappear from my life. I should have known better. The last desperate move. I was getting the kids ready for school when my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Jason Parker?" a man's voice asked. "Yeah, who's this?" "This is Detective Miller with the local PD. We need you to come down to the station. There's been a complaint filed against you." My blood ran cold. Complaint? What are you talking about? The detective sighed. "Your wife, well, ex-wife-to-be, filed a report against you this morning. Domestic violence allegations. We need to discuss this in person. I felt like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. She didn't. Number she couldn't. Not after everything she had done, but she did. Emily was playing the last dirtiest card in her deck. The interrogation. I showed up at the station, my lawyer already on the way. Detective Miller was waiting in a small gray interrogation room. He looked tired, like he already knew this was Boleta. "Your wife claims you physically assaulted her last night," he said, flipping open a file. "She has pictures of bruises on her arms and a swollen lip. She says you threw her against a wall during an argument." I laughed. I couldn't help it. The sheer insanity of it. Emily, the woman who had cheated on me, humiliated me, and tried to steal my kids, was now claiming I was the monster? "I haven't seen Emily since she left my house 2 nights ago," I said, "and I sure as hell didn't touch her." Miller studied me for a long moment. "You got an alibi?" "Yeah, my kids. They were home with me the entire night." He nodded. "Good. We're already skeptical of her story. The injuries don't match what she's claiming, and there's no history of violence on your record, but we have to follow protocol." "So what now?" "We do a formal interview, document your side, and if it turns out she's lying, well, she just made the biggest mistake of her life." Emily's downfall. I wasn't officially arrested, but the accusation was serious. If this had gone any further, it could have ruined me. But Emily had underestimated 2 things. I had receipts. Security footage from my house proved she hadn't been near me since the last time we spoke. She wasn't as smart as she thought, because guess what? The bruises on her arms. They were old. The swollen lip. It was makeup. The detectives called her in for a follow-up interview, and within 10 minutes she cracked. She admitted she made the whole thing up. She thought it would scare me into dropping the custody battle. Instead, she got arrested for filing a false police report, the final confrontation. I got the call that night. Emily was in jail. It wasn't a long-term sentence, but it was enough to send a message. I debated whether to visit her, and then I did. She was sitting in a holding cell wearing an orange jumpsuit, looking wrecked. I stood on the other side of the glass, phone in my hand. She picked up her side, her fingers trembling. "You did this," she whispered. I smiled. "No, Emily, you did this to yourself." Her face crumpled. "Jason, I don't have anything left. No job, no money, no family, no kids. I was just—" "You were just what? Testing me? Trying to see how far you could push me?" She didn't answer. "Here's what's gonna happen," I continued. "You're gonna sign the divorce papers. No fight, no negotiations. You'll get a tiny settlement, just enough for a fresh start, and you'll never ever come near me or my kids again." Her lip quivered. "And if I don't?" I leaned forward. "Then I'll bury you, legally, financially, publicly. I have enough dirt on you to make sure you never get hired anywhere again. Your reputation, your future, gone." Tears slipped down her face. "You wouldn't," she whispered. "Try me," I said. She sat there, broken, finally understanding that this was over, for good. I didn't wait for her answer. I hung up the phone, turned around, and walked out of her life forever. Epilogue. The divorce was finalized in less than a month. Emily took the small settlement I offered and disappeared. I got full custody of Noah and Lily. The court saw right through Emily's games. I moved on. I focused on my kids, my career, and finally myself. And Emily. Last I heard, she was working a dead-end job in another state. Alone. She lost everything. Because she thought she could have it all. She thought she could cheat, lie, manipulate, and still win. But in the end, she played herself, and I walked away free.